Hello, my name is Francisco Briseño, and this is my communication literacy assignment. Today I'm going to walk you through a set of weed science data. But instead of just looking at the numbers, I'm going to show you what this data really means for landowner or farmer. I've broken it down into 4 key points. Now this is the raw data table we were given. It's a lot of numbers, but what's important is the story it tells. I have analyzed it and pulled out the 4 most important takeaways. First, we'll examine the critical issue of weed resistance to glyphosate. Second, we will examine the impact of a low-cost adjuvant called AMS. Third, I'll show you what happens when mixing herbicides goes wrong. And finally, we will look at the cost to determine the best overall value. Let's start with my first point, herbicide weed resistance. This graph tells a perfect story, problem, and solution. Roundup Power Max is a great effective herbicide. As you can see right here, it controls 94% of the susceptible Palmer amaranth weed. But what happens when we use the same herbicide on a resistant Palmer amaranth weed? The effectiveness drops to 0. That is 100% failure and a complete waste of money. This graph makes the solution clear. If you have resistant weeds, you must use a different herbicide, like Liberty or Ingenia, which both get high levels of weed control. My second point is getting the most value from your herbicide. We're examining an adjuvant called ammonium sulfate, or AMS. So what does AMS do? For us, it does 2 simple things. First, it acts as a water conditioner that removes any hard minerals from your spray tank. Additionally, it facilitates the absorption of the herbicide into the plant's leaves. But does it work? Look at the graph. This is the before and after. Here's the Liberty group, and here's the Liberty plus AMS group. Every single bar in the Liberty plus AMS group is taller. We saw a 10% increase in control across all weeds using Liberty plus AMS treatment. For Roundup Power Max plus AMS, there was a 6% increase on all susceptible weeds, compared to when Roundup Power Max is used alone. This graph proves that for a small extra cost of $1.70 per acre, the AMS adjuvant makes the main herbicide work significantly better. My third point is about antagonism, or what happens when mixing herbicides goes wrong. A farmer with a resistant Palmer amaranth weed problem might mix Roundup Power Max and Ingenia to get both grassy and broadleaf weed control. So what are the pros of this mix? As you can see, the mix, the green bar, solves the glyphosate resistant problem and controls 90% of the resistant Palmer amaranth. But there is a con. Look at the Johnson grass. Roundup alone, the blue bar, controlled 89%. However, when you add Ingenia, the control dropped to 80%. This is antagonism. There are 2 types of antagonism, physical and chemical. Physical is when the herbicides do not physically mix well and causes issues in the spray tank or spray equipment like clogs. Chemical antagonism is when the herbicides mix completely, but the problem happens in the weed, causing a reduction in the percentage of weed control. In this case, one issue was solved, but another one was created. This is why this data is so important. Finally, this comes down to the bottom line. What's the best value? This table shows the cost per acre for all of our treatments. The cheapest is Roundup Power Max at $4 per acre. But as we just saw, if you have resistant weeds, that is $4 per acre for 0% control. So what is the best choice? The data shows it depends on your field. For glyphosate susceptible weeds, the Roundup plus AMS is the clear winner. At only $5.70 per acre, it gave us the best control on our susceptible weeds. For glyphosate resistant weeds, the data points to the Roundup Power Max plus Ingenia mix. Even with antagonism at $14 per acre, it provides the most consistent control across all different weeds in our data. This data proves that the best choice isn't always the most cost-effective. It's the one that's right for your specific field. Thank you for your time. I hope you found this educational and informative.